two tribes go to war. The Kangaroos have steamrolled it into town with their huge forwards. Can the Kiwis withstand the up-front battering and make use of their 5-test preparation? We'll find out when the teams run on in about 15 minutes. Good afternoon. Well, as you can see, it's turned out nice again. The sun came out about 10 past 11. Had a look, went back in about 11 past 11. It's been raining almost non-stop ever since. It rained heavily overnight. I'm outside because the producer has a sense of humour. Let's find out what the commentators think about today's game. Here's Ken Laban and Greg Clark.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, after the All Blacks lost yesterday, I think the Kiwis have got everything to gain today and nothing to lose. If they can give a 100% effort for 80 minutes, I think they're going to be very competitive. Comments today from Wainui Yamata captain Ken Laban, who's used to this windy Wellington weather. What's your prediction, Ken?
Well, Greg, it'll be a game of contrasting styles for sure. The Australians have picked a very big forward pack and they haven't brought them over here and are not going to use them. They'll play tough, uncompromising football around the middle of the play-the-ball area. On the other side of the coin, the Kiwis have stated all year that they've wanted to play fast, open, attractive football. Today, that might be their only hope against this big Australian pack that's in good form.
Let's hope so. It should be a great game.
Well, I reckon so. What a difference about an hour and a half can make. Joining me now is Wellington coach Howie Tamati. Howie, what about this weather? What effect is it going to have on the two teams?
Well, it's going to be having a huge effect on the game today. Who takes the win in the first half, who gets the points up on the board, will dictate really how the game's going to go. The conditions are just shocking and so cold. Who knows? It could be a lottery at the end of the day.
Okay, possibly a lottery. We'll find out when the game kicks off at 3. Let's find out now what the two national team coaches think of the game.
It's a very well balanced side. There's plenty of size and there's plenty of speed, and the skill level's very, very high. And most of the players that came over here last year to tour New Zealand in our 3-test victory over the Kiwis are back again, and we've got a couple of very exciting new additions to the side.
Well, I think the Australian forwards are very big, and they'll use it through their forwards to build a platform for their backs, and their backs will move it out wide and they're very fast in the backs, so that's where we'll have to compete. But I believe our forwards equal on defence, and we have fairly quick backs as well. We've played together in a few tests now, so we should have a good team combination, so I think we should do all right.
What do you see as a danger in the New Zealand camp?
Well, probably the combination that they've developed over a 5-test series, 2 against New Guinea and 3 against Great Britain. And I probably see that as being one of our biggest problems, and also the fact that any number of the Kiwi players play in the Sydney competition, and those who don't have had experience in England.
I think our forwards will win the game by knocking their forwards over early in the piece.
Most test matches or most rugby league games in particular are won up front, and if the forwards do the job, but to do that it doesn't matter how big we are or how strong we are or how skillful we are. If we don't control the football, well, we don't control the game. So first and foremost, if we can control the football, we're every chance of winning.
And the outcome?
I won't predict that, but we'll be trying very hard.
In very trying and very hard conditions. And how tough are these guys out in a southerly wind? The rain's lashing Athletic Park at the moment. We've just seen the coaches on today's game. Kick-off not far away now. Let's find out what the fans think.
Oh, I reckon Australia's going to win, and my star player Surinam's going to get all the tries.
I reckon the Kiwis are going to win because my favourite players play, and it's Matthew Ridge.
I think unfortunately the Australians will win.
My favourite player is Morgan Evans. He's a young fella, and in my opinion, he's got a long way to go.
League game's going to be very tough for the Kiwis. I'm predicting they're 22-20 to the Kiwis. We're playing one of the best sides in the world.
And Matthew Ridge, another good player. Matter of fact, there's very few in the Australian team you couldn't throw out.
On Sunday, I'll say we'll win by 6 points.
Australia, I hope. No, I don't reckon they'll win. I reckon Australia will because they're professional. Kiwis
Because his favourite players.
amateurs.
What about your relatives? He's not
Stuff my loyalty.
Definitely the Kiwi.
Why?
I have to say that, I'm a Kiwi.
You look out, logic's on the side that New Zealand will have more points on the board. I hope so. I'm an unashamed New Zealand supporter. Wish the Australians well. Hope they come second.
I played on a few of the major rugby grounds. Athletic Park will be another one that I can put in my books, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I like to see Kiwis win, that's for sure. But, well, never know, those Aussies. I think the Kiwis probably are too small to win the game up front. They're probably too slow to win it out wide, so with a bit of luck it'll rain hard, there'll be a lot of mud out there, and it will even it up. We'll have a chance.
And raining hard it certainly is. We're counting down to kick-off at Athletic Park. The Kiwis against the Kangaroos at 3. The last time they faced off was in the third of the 3-test series here last year.
15 metres outside.
Meninga with a nicely timed pass to Hessler. A big gap here, and there's a whole wall of green jerseys. Must be a try. Oh, goodness gracious me. It looks so easy for the Australians. And the interception must be a try. Yes! It's that crowd who did it in Christchurch. Back here. And Australia getting the try. Dale Shearer. Great support play from the Australians.
Welcome back to the Lion Red International League Test. The Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders on the park at the moment. I tell you what, their kicking game is higher than Matthew Ridge's. Let's meet the New Zealand squad of 17 now.
The fullback for the Kiwis, 21-year-old Matthew Ridge, 28 points in just 3 tests for the goal-kicking whiz from Manly. Morven Edwards is back in the starting lineup, replacing the injured Tony Udo. It's the 22-year-old's 5th test appearance. 26-year-old Daryl Williams missed the 2 tests against PNG recently. Today he plays his 21st test. Aucklander David Watson has scored 4 tries in just 3 tests. Can he continue his great run today? 28-year-old Aucklander Sam Panapa has scored a try in his last 2 tests, his 6th international. 24-year-old Aucklander Kelly Shelford was called into the side on Friday. It's his 7th test. Gary Freeman led the Kiwis to 2 wins over PNG recently. Today he's vice-captain, his 23rd test. Peter Brown has never been in better form. The Aucklander plays his 11th test. Look for another busy game around the rucks from Dwayne Mann. He's from the Wellington club in Britain, his 13th test. Brent Todd, the 25-year-old Canberra Raider, is the workhorse in the pack. Today he plays his 17th test. After a great tour of PNG, Aucklander Dean Lonergan has cemented his place in the pack, his 7th test. Aucklander Tawera Dikau is living up to his reputation of a player of the future. Today he plays his 6th test. Hugh McGann was unavailable for the recent tour of PNG. He's back as skipper for the 32nd test. Paddy Tormavabi impressed on the tour of PNG and has been rewarded with a place in today's squad. It's his 3rd test. Mark Nixon was in the starting lineup last week in Port Moresby. That was great experience for the youngster. Mark Hotto is back after a groin injury sustained in PNG, a very capable man on the reserves bench. And George Mann, another handy performer to have as a fresh reserve.
The Kiwi squad of 17. With me now is Aro Tamati, a regular contributor to our Monday Night League show. Aro, you've been with the team all week. How's the preparation?
Well, the Kiwi build-up this week was the typical low-key affair that we've come to see with Kiwi coach Bob Bailey. Quiet trainings, no crowds. One player that we sought out this week was Kiwi halfback and vice-captain Gary Freeman, and he admitted to me that he's a cocky player.
I think all halfbacks are a little bit cocky. They have to be, because there's a lot of big blokes in front of you, and if they sort of get on top of you, they'll just try and stand over tactics on you all the time, and I don't let that happen. I just try and stand up for myself and be counted.
Line, measure of a man's thirst.
It would be fair to say halfback Freeman is a real character of the Kiwi camp. But beneath it, he's concentrating on today's big game.
Probably I'll be up on the front line of defence to try and stop the big man getting a lot of momentum up. The covering won't be so much as necessary as it was against Papua New Guinea, because the Australians play a very, very patterned style of football, and if we can just stop the big man from getting very, very mobile and making yards, we've got a good chance of winning the game. So I'll be up around there doing a lot of tackling.
Before a big game, do you get nervous?
Yeah, I'm hopeless. I just get nervous and get the shakes before the game and just walk around. You want to say things, but you can't, and I get real nervous.
Ready, all right.
This clown of the Kiwi camp may get nervous before a game, but he's serious about one thing.
I think deep down, all the players that are in this Kiwi side here, the main objective is to play for New Zealand, and the next main thing is to beat Australia, and hopefully that's what we can do this Sunday.
Well, it's no secret that the Aussies see Gary Freeman as an essential component of the Kiwi attack today. Kickoff is about 15 minutes away. The Dallas Cowgirls still doing their routines. I tell you what, if anything is going to wipe the smiles off their faces, it's a good old Wellington Southerly, but even that doesn't seem to work. All right, we've met Gary Freeman. Now let's meet another strong member of this Kiwi side, Tawera Dikau.
Richard dummy halfback to Gary Freeman. Peter Brown bursting onto it. The big prop back it goes to Tawera Dikau. He's in underneath the post. Brilliant stuff by New Zealand. They're running hot today.
16 points to 6, and what a try there from Tawera Dikau. He really is my man of the match so far. He runs, he passes.
It's been an awesome 12 months, Tawera. What do you put the success down to?
Mainly the off-season training that I put into whilst I was in England, Greg. I was over there playing for Sheffield, and during the off-season I did quite a bit of weights and a bit of sprinting.
You live in Huntly, but you play in Auckland. But your hometown, Huntly, certainly is a traditional rugby league town. Are you treated as a superstar there?
No, not really. I've really known everyone since for the past 4 or 5 years, and they still treat me the same as what they knew before I became a superstar. So I find it really good. Everyone sort of brings you back down to earth. They don't sort of treat you up. You're like this big superstar. Everyone treats me the same. It's really good. I think it helps me a lot.
You come from a rugby league background?
No, not really. I actually spent a lot of my earlier days playing union, especially in Auckland. Actually, I played for Auckland under 15s and 16s until I moved back to Huntly, the family farm. So I didn't start playing league till I was about 17.
You obviously prefer the league because of what, the speed of the game?
Yeah, I find the team to be more physical and a bit faster than the union. Yeah.
Took the Kiwis in 1990 a while to hit their straps, didn't it? It was really the series that got away against Great Britain, so you're confident that everything is right now to take on the Aussies? Yeah, I'm very confident, Greg. The boys have had a good match build-up with NZRL and Papua New Guinea. Sort of been together for a couple of weeks. Everyone knows how we're playing and sort of got together, and yeah, I think we're just coming on really well. The morale is high with us, and I'm sure we're going to go on and be very competitive, and I'm looking forward to a good game in Wellington.
He's been compared to the likes of Hugh McGann and Mark Graham, and that is some standard to live up to. Taura Nico. Well, I tell you what, the day in Wellington today it's no day for dancing. If you want to see the triumph of professionalism over adversity, have a look at this. Smiling. All right, we've had a look at the Kiwis. Let's now meet the squad of Kangaroos.
The fullback is Gary Belcher. The 28-year-old from the Canberra Raiders is playing his 8th test today. Michael Hancock is a young, powerful Brisbane Bronco, only 20. It's his 4th test. Mel Benenga captains his side. He's been a great servant in the green and gold with his powerhouse running. The 30-year-old playing his 24th test. Another powerful attacker at the centres is Mark McGaw from the Cronulla Sharks, his 3rd test. Dale Shearer's another danger man in the back line. Has speed to burn, lining up for his 12th test. Critics say Laurie Daly from Canberra will struggle to complete the game, lacking match fitness after an injury, his 2nd test. This is a little band they call Alf, Alan Langer, one of the favourite sons in the Brisbane Broncos. It's his 4th test. Blocker Roach returned to the Balmain lineup last week after serving out a 4-week suspension. It's his 14th test. Kerrod Walters has been a very consistent player for the Brisbane Broncos and Queensland. His 5th test. Martin Bella completes the front row. A real workhorse will take it up all day. His 3rd test. Paul Sheridan is a giant of a man who takes plenty of stopping. The Kiwis will have their hands full trying to contain him in his 7th test. Manly's Ian Roberts is the only new cap in the starting lineup. He's had a bad run with injuries. He'll make up for it today, no doubt. Loose forward is 27-year-old Bob Linder. He's a Queensland State of Origin star who plays for West. Andrew Eddinghausen, the man they call ET, the 24-year-old from the Cronulla Sharks, is looking to make his 5th test appearance. Another very versatile man on the bench is Desi Hasler from the Manly Sea Eagles, 29, his 6th test. Canberra Raider Glenn Lazarus is looking to make his international debut. 24, renowned for his work rate. And 21-year-old Brad Mackay completes the squad, 3 tries at his test debut against France this year.
Well, it's a great side. There are no weaknesses at all. I'll tell you what, the Aussies have got plenty to play for this afternoon. They have a tour of Britain coming up this northern winter. But with their tough club competition, they certainly should be ready for this.
I might do a haka of my own when we win after the game.
Big run by Roach.
All black and white to me.
Ball out to Belcher. There's an intercept. And it's a try.
First 10 minutes is going to be a lot of blood and guts.
Look out, Kiwis. The Aussie pack is me.
Just big, isn't it? Yeah. It's every player's dream, to represent his country. I'm just happy that I'm finally here.
Yeah, standing out there while the national anthem's playing, it's a great thing. It feels great to play for your country, and should be some wide open spaces for the outside backs and hopefully me.
Has it a long ball out by Gary Belcher. Gary Belcher.
Here we go.
9 minutes now to go until kickoff. As you can see, the rain hasn't let up much. The drought has broken in Wellington. We've just heard news that Australia has won the toss. They will play with the wind. That's good news for Aussie captain Mal Meninga. I spoke with him earlier this week about this game.
Mal, the Kiwis have had 5 tests this winter. How's your own preparation?
Well, it hasn't been the best, I suppose, compared to the Kiwis. They had 3 tough tests against the English and fairly easy ones, I suppose, up in Papua New Guinea, but they've certainly got the teamwork there, and it's something we're going to work on a training all week this week, make sure that our team works together, and so we can hope to have any chance against the Kiwis on Sunday.
Difficult time for you to come over here to play a test with the Winfield Cup in the penultimate stage. Any danger of the players thinking of that rather than the test?
No, not really. We're all here playing for Australia, and obviously a lot of guys would like to be back playing at home with our clubs because it's so important leading up to the semis, but we're playing for Australia and we certainly want to do well for Australia.
No problems with Steve Roach's match fitness coming off suspension?
Well, it's obviously going to be a question mark, but he's been playing with Johnny Lewis for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and Johnny's over here at the moment, and he's put a lot of preparation in, a lot of fitness in, and I'm sure he'll go quite well on Sunday.
I know a number of your players came off injured last weekend from the Winfield Cup. No problems there?
No, Laurie Darley's obviously got carrying a hamstring, but he's fine, and that's about the only injury we've got, really.
So you're here to kick butt on Sunday?
Well, hopefully, yeah.
It's a shame the weather's not like that today. There it is, the Lion Red Cup. That's what they're playing for today. If you measure up the Aussies with the Kiwis have a huge weight advantage, but size alone won't win it. The Kiwis have certainly had their moments against the Aussies. The last time they beat them was in Brisbane in '87. International League test is set to start very shortly. Would you please welcome onto Athletic Park? Very shortly we'll have the Australians onto the park. That was a rehearsal. Welcome onto Athletic Park, the world champions led by captain Mal Meninga, Australia. Returned from a successful tour of Papua New Guinea, winning both tests, led up by Hugh McGann. Let's have a big Athletic Park welcome for the Kiwis!
Here's the New Zealand lineup. 4 changes to the side that started against PNG last weekend. Morgan Edwards for Tony Ito, Terrell Williams for Paddy Jormabami. Kelly Shelford called up on Friday. It's his first test for 1990. And Hugh McGann is back at loose forward and skipper. Now the Australian team. Critics say it's the best side to wear the green and gold in recent years. There's speed and size to burn. If there are weaknesses, they could be at standoff. Laurie Daly has had limited football after injury, and prop Steve Roach hasn't had much play after returning from a 4-week suspension. Mal Meninga is a captain. He's just 2 points away from reaching 150 points in Test football.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand for Advance Australia Fair, sung by Casey Murray.
Australians, let's we rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden sons and land for toil. Our home is good by sea, our land abounds in precious gifts, beauty rich and rare. In history state, let every page advance Australia fair. In every word, advance Australia fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the New Zealand National Anthem, sung by Tony Williams.
So New Zealand and Australia gearing up to do battle in the second of the big doubleheader test weekend at Athletic Park in Wellington. Will this weather be the equaliser, Ken Laban?
The underfoot conditions are very difficult indeed. I think these weather conditions will probably suit the Australian side. They're bigger and stronger. And in their last test a few weeks ago against France and Parks, the conditions were very similar. So if anything, I think they will probably favour the New Zealand side. But we won't discount this New Zealand side. They've been in camp for 5 weeks. There's a lot of passion and they'll be committed today.
A big moment for Tauri Nikau, leading the New Zealand haka. The Australians didn't want to know about that one. They turned their backs and started doing some loosening up exercises down in their half. The referee is Robin Whitfield from Widnes in Great Britain. This is his 10th international, the 6th time that he has controlled a match between New Zealand and Australia. It's his 3rd visit to the land of the long white cloud, which it certainly is today. He was here in 83 and 86. Former top player in British club football, had a career spanning about 16 years. He knows what it's all about. The Kiwis know what it's all about. They have to give a 100% effort today. The test match is underway. This is an official New Zealand 1990 event. And there's Sirenen, first touch of the ball for the Balmain Tiger on his own quarter line.
Big charging run from Sirenen. New Zealand defence party waiting for him. Australia going to kick early.
Daly, straight down the throat of Matthew Ridge. Takes it well.
A lot of people in Australia have been critical of Matthew Ridge not being able to beat defenders. He did it with ease there. A couple of swinging arms from the Australians, looking for a physical start.
Down the line side. And Inga and Langer there. Freeman, Nikau. Crunch. He ran into Locker Roach. Line side now. Freeman. The rubber kicks through. Goes behind Hancock, but he's going to clean it up 10 metres out from his own line. Got away from Ridge, won't get away from Dickow.
Good kick chase from the Kiwis, good effort there.
Daly. Now Martin Bella.
The Australians won't do anything silly in their own 22. They'll just play close to the ruck, running from dummy half and using their big men, and they'll probably kick early.
Well, there's Roach, almost to the quarter line. Belcher driving it downfield. Ridge takes it again.
Matthew Ridge receiving a huge reception from the crowd. He started the game well.
Here's a penalty. Australia inside the 5 metres.
Very simple start from both sides, just doing simple plays. Notice the Australian side are kicking early in the tackle count. Obviously, they don't want to play any football near their own goal line.
Ridge finds touch.
Very important that the New Zealand side come away with points. They've been dominating early field position in this game. They need to score here early.
Freeman down to Todd. Oh, that was a big hit from
the Australian side. Look offside there.
Peter Brown. Here's a good chance for the Kiwis. Switch of play up the back line. They'll play the knock on.
One thing that was apparent in that last set of 6 is that the English referee, Robin Whitfield's not playing a very big 5. You notice the Australian defence line was up very quick there.
Australia and New Zealand have played 75 test matches, including World Cup encounters. There's the pack weight. Look at that. The Aussies dominating over New Zealand.
First big run from Mel Meninket. He'll be doing plenty of those in the match.
So 75 tests between these two great rugby league nations. Australia have won 54, the Kiwis 21.
Big run from Ian Roberts, the highest paid player in rugby league.
Blocker Roach almost to the halfway line. Daly into open spaces. Ridge has to go back to his own try line. So the Aussies have been trying to work the Kiwis down at this end of the field for some time, but another good run by Ridge. He can't put a foot wrong in the early stages of this test match.
Well, he started the game in great form, beating players on the outside and managed to get a penalty for New Zealand. Matthew Ridge has had a sensational start to this match.
The Wellington weather hasn't been too kind to us today. First test match. That's the rugby league test match in Wellington for 37 years. Can the Kiwis do it? They've started pretty well. There's Todd. Peter Brown ran into Roberts, got away from them. To the halfway line. Dickow. Freeman. Shearer's going to pick it up. Won't get away from Sharp. But over the top, here's a chance. Dean Wellington has picked it up. Rises at 40. Throws it back to nobody. Picked up now by Dickow.
New Zealand have got to make Australia pay for that error. One of the worst things you can do in rugby league is turn the ball over in your own 22. New Zealand have got to make the best of this advantage now. A rear error there from Dale Shearer.
Well, they've got 4 tackles left in this set. Again, Fred out of Broome. Throws a dummy him again. No way through there. Bella and Roach are there to stop him. Todd puts the head down. Has a charge. 13 metres out. Dwayne Mann. Switch of play to Todd. Quick hands. Peter Brown. Gets it out now to Robin Edwards. He tries inside. That's the 5th tackle. 7 metres out. Freeman. A little grubber kick through. It's lying loose on the ground. It's going to be cleaned up by Hancock and the goal-mouth dropout.
Very good passage of play for the New Zealand side. Very good in that last tackle. They managed to kick the ball in the end goal, come off an Australian hand there, so now they get a back-to-back set of 6. We see here Gary Freeman in from dummy half, puts in the little grubber, comes off Mark Magore. Michael Hancock forced to press the ball, so the New Zealand side get another crack at the Aussies. Very good football.
The crowd roars, Kiwi, Kiwi. Again, David Watson. A slippery character, but he doesn't get away from big Paul Sheridan.
He's only little, this David Watson from Watcher, but I tell you, he's plenty tough. Good run from Dean Lonergan. Good charging run.
Freeman, the double round with Nick Howe. Williams showed the ball, went on his own, but Langer read it pretty well. Now it's Freeman. Kicking for the far touchline. Belcher is back there. Palapar is there to tackle him. Daly, the double round with Shearer. Well, there's nothing wrong with this start by the Kiwis.
The Kiwi reception party there to meet Dale Shearer again. Good defensive effort so far from the Kiwis.
Bella.
The Australian side, I said earlier, they won't do anything silly in their own 22. Maybe one more drive and they'll look for the kick.
Now it's Belcher. Penalty to Australia. This time it's the Kiwis caught inside the 5 metres by Bob and Whitfield.
This game starting the way that most test matches, fairly tentative. The referee stamping his authority early in the game.
Let's see what the Aussies can do. 8 metres inside New Zealand territory as Bella takes it up.
Martin Bella taking the first ball there. He'll take the first ball up most of the day.
Now this is Ian Roberts. His opposite number, Tara Nick out driving him back, but he gets the ball away. Bob Lindner.
It was a great ball that Ian Roberts got away there, considering he's been driven backwards by a couple of Kiwi forwards. That's a hallmark of his play.
Meninga, the Aussie backs, throw it around. Belcher in the clear. Danger for New Zealand. Belcher back inside to Alan Langer, and it's a try. Beautiful stuff by Australia.
That's a great try. Alan Langer, there's been some critics earlier in the week after his selection about his indifferent form this year. If he scores plenty of tries like that, I'm sure that'll quieten the critics up for a little while anyway. He's been in great form so far this year. We see here that Mel Meninga gives a short ball to Gary Belcher, running hard for the gap. Look for the big right foot step. There it is there. Looks inside, gets the call from Alan Langer, running onto the ball at pace, and he cruises in 4-0.
Well, just when we thought that the Kiwis had control in the opening minutes, look at this. Mel Meninga, quick hands, right between the gap. It was a mile wide for Gary Belcher. Support looming up inside, and that man, Alf, was there. Reminiscent of one or two of the tries he scored in the World Cup final in '88.
We see here again on the replay, Alan Langer at first receiver, offloads a long ball to Mel Meninga. Gary Belcher coming through the hole at pace, look for the right foot step. We picked it up earlier. There it is there. Keeps the ball available, gets the inside call from Langer running onto the ball.
Well, there's the conversion attempt. And it's straight between the uprights from Mel Meninga, and that means that he has now scored 150 points in Test Match Rugby League. What a great achievement for this man, 30 years of age. Mel Meninga, 6-0. Australia leading the Kiwis. So we're back on halfway. That's a real setback for New Zealand, who made a confident start before allowing that try.
The Australians, you can't give them an inch.
Morvan Edwards.
Good kick chase from the Australian side there. They were up there very early in the piece. That was a kick from a set move.
David Watson. Bumped off one or two.
Very strong player, David Watson. That's a very good run from the little bloke.
Brett Tyler, this is a penalty to New Zealand. Australia inside the 5 metres. 10 minutes gone in the Test match. Brett Todd. They'll want him to do a ton of work up front.
Yeah, he's a no-frills player. He'll do a lot of the yardage work for the Kiwi side today. He's been in great form. Peter Brown, the other prop. He started the game well.
Bob Dwyer on the right. And what's that? Zinzan Brook talking to the Wallaby coach. Okay, Matthew Ridge. Former Auckland and All Black teammate of Zinzan Brook. Back inside it goes to Shelford.
Kelly Shelford only been in the team a couple of days after Tony Kim pulled out. That was a good little run from him.
Oh, Dean Lonergan almost through. He combined very well with Tawera Nikau on the 2-match tour of Papua New Guinea. Nearly came off then for them. Peter Brown I'd like to see some runners coming off ground. Now it's Freeman. Kelly Shelford the double around with Freeman. And, put down heavily there. Darryl Williams by McGaw, and Daly comes away with it.
Bob Fulton said earlier in the week that there were a couple of surprise packages in this Australian side, and I'd say that one of those players he was referring to was Laurie Daly. One of the quickest players around, plays for the Canberra club in Sydney.
Roach.
Steve Roach been doing the hard yards.
Langer. They want it out in the backs again. Daly. Good ball out to Meninga. Got away from Lonergan, up over the halfway line. Back to Shearer. He ducked under a high one there from Brown. But he's going to be forced to play it. 8 metres inside New Zealand territory. Penalty to New Zealand.
That's a foolish penalty. That's a childish penalty given away from it for an international footballer like Dale Shearer. Giving away a penalty when you're in possession of the football is a very bad offence.
As he hit out a Tawa and Eckhout. Here's the replay.
There's a swinging arm there. Dale Shearer gets underneath the swinging arm. He gets taken ball and all by Tara Nikia, who does very well. But you see here that he takes exception and throws a little elbow there and concedes the penalty.
Back live, and the Kiwis forcing their way upfield. Nikia. 25 metres out from the Australian line. Freeman, the kicker's on. No, he throws a dummy. And his Balmain teammate, Steve Roach, wrestles him into the Athletic Park mud.
The Australian side's up very quick. It's a very lenient 5 metres that referee Whitfield's keeping.
Well, the bomb went up, but the wind got hold of it. Still lying loose in the ground. Nobody wants it. Eventually, it's the Aussies who's going to come away with it.
Australia only used the ball here for 2 or 3 rucks, and they'll kick early.
Walters, very dangerous from dummy half. Didn't get away that time, though.
Yeah, he's regarded as one of the fastest forwards in the Winfield Cup for a while. Another charging run from Paul Surinan and offload.
Nelch is up there from fullback, but Williams wraps him up. Australia leading 6-0. The blind side they go. Roach.
Ball and all tackles are going to be the call for today. Can't afford to go too low because the Australians will offload the ball.
There's Daly. Again, raced across, but just couldn't quite stop him from getting the kick away. What a good kick it was, too. One bounce into touch inside the New Zealand quarter.
Laurie Daly, he's only 20 years old. He said earlier he comes from the Canberra club, playing very well. This is only his 2nd test for Australia, filling in for the King, Wally Lewis.
This is an important scrum. Australia leading 1-0 in the scrum count.
I'd imagine this will be a typical Gary Freeman feat. We usually win most scrums that he feeds.
Him again, keeping it in the scrum.
Oh, a good bit of power there from the New Zealand forward pack.
And of course the Kiwis are much lighter in the weight department. Here's Dean Lonergan. Takes on Roberts. Don't know who won that battle. We'll call it a draw.
We'll call it a draw, 1-1. It was a good run and a good hit.
Dwayne Mann wasn't really expecting that one. Here's him again. Can't get away from his opposite number, Linda, underneath, and over the top was McGaw. They tried the blind side. Freeman, rubber kick through and finds touch over on the far side. 8 metres inside Australian territory.
Notice that Dale Shearer didn't attempt to stop that ball. Obviously, he was keen to let it go out so that the Australians could get the feed from the scrum. If he had handled it and maybe deflected it out, they would have lost possession of the ball. But Australia, this one will go with the feed, I'd expect.
Indeed it does. Langer takes it out, gives it to Daly. Can't get away from Ridge. McGann there as well, and Shelford. Halfway line, Lindner. We've had 15 minutes of play.
Bob Linder from the Western Suburbs Club, another Queenslander.
Australia aided by this strong southerly.
Good tackle there from Dean Lonergan. Playing very well so far, Dean, in tandem with Tara Nikau.
Ian Roberts. Bit of a fumble there. Eventually gets back to Bella. Freeman read that pretty well.
Very good defence from the New Zealand side.
Langer. Daly, the grubber kick through. Shearer's got a ton of speed. Dale Shearer. Ridge got there first, though. And eventually it goes into touch. Geez, lightning fast Shearer, you can't give him a centimetre.
Yeah, that was a near miss there for the Australian side. Sam Parnapa came up thinking that they were going to spread the ball. Laurie Daly opted to kick the ball late and left him stranded high and dry. Shearer had another half a yard there. It might have been a shot there for Australia.
Langer puts it in and takes it out. Daly showing the ball. Gets it out to Belcher. Here's another chance for the Aussies. Gary Belcher got away from one. Oh, this classy fullback from Canberra almost through. Only 5 metres out. Now it's Bob Linder. Bob Linder getting close to the line. Tossing and turning. Can't get it down. Australia lead by 6 points to 0. And the pressure right on.
New Zealand have to regroup quickly here to keep this Australian out.
Langer showing the ball, but he runs into a good ball and all tackle from Williams underneath.
Very good.
Todd was also there. Now it's Blocker Roach back inside to Sheridan. The Kiwi defence in overdrive at the moment, trying to hold them out. There's Langer. It's been intercepted by him again, but he's lost it again. And it's back to 1. Again, just couldn't hold on to it.
Oh, that was unlucky for the New Zealand side that Hugh McGahn just about got both hands on that. Now the Aussies get a back-to-back set of 6 and they get another go. Ian Roberts is a danger man. It's the 3rd time he's handled and offloaded.
Now this is Roach. 12 metres out.
New Zealand have got to move up quick here, both sides. High tackles are the call in their own 22.
Roberts.
That's
no
good
way
defense.
through there. Now we're waiting for it as Kieran Walters.
The Aussies have switched back to blind here. Here they go.
Langer. Out to Daly. The little grubber kick through, but it's going to be too big. So it's back to the corner line. So the New Zealand defence holding out then. And gee, they're dangerous when they get close to that line, the Aussies.
Yeah, they are. Have you noticed the last couple of times, Greg, that whatever side of the ruck Laurie Daly's standing on generally is the side that they're going to go. I think he's the key playmaker for them today. Normally you'd expect it to be Alan Langer. Laurie Daly's been a threat.
Well, there's Peter Brown taking on his opposite number, Steve Roach.
That's a good gain for Peter Brown. Good running.
Let's see what this penalty's for. Australia inside the 5 metres again.
What was very pleasing in the last passage of play, Greg, was the fact that the Kiwis didn't panic when they were on their own line. They tackled high, held the men down so that the Australians were forced to play the ball slowly, which let them regroup. That's good thinking by this Kiwi side.
Peter Brown will find touch. Ken, before you played for the Wainui-Mata Rugby League Club, you played rugby union here at Athletic Park. The rugby people yesterday said the Southerly was worth at least 12 to 15 points. What about in rugby league today?
Yeah, you'd have to agree with that, 15 points, but the wind here is so unpredictable. You notice that at the present moment there's no wind at all. But if the wind does come up, 15 points is good.
So the Kiwis inside the Australian half again, almost put it down. 4 Aussie defenders in there. Freeman. Quick hands out to Dean Lonergan. That looked marginally forward with the referee said play on.
Good charging run though from Dean Lonergan. He's playing well. That's a good sign when you see your big second rowers hitting the line like that.
Grubber kick through from Kelly Shelford. Belcher racing across. David Watson is there and takes Belcher pretty well. Very well indeed. 5 metres out now, the Aussies. Shearer from dummy half. Now it's Bella. Another settling run. Aussies just prepared to take it up in ones inside their own quarter. There's Roach. Now look for the kick. Daly. Big kick downfield. That's a ginormous kick. But he doesn't get the right bounce and it goes over the dead ball line. So back to the quarter line for the restart.
The wind and the weather is very unpredictable here in Wellington. The on-the-field conditions are not too bad at the moment. The rain stayed away. But sometimes the wind comes up and then it dies away, which I think is going to make things a little bit difficult for both sides. But the Australian side seem to be dominating field position at the moment, which I think later in the game could be a factor.
Mel Meninga, the Aussie captain. There's the Kiwis.
Brent Todd with a no-frills yardage run, good to see.
Parnapper in from the wing, looking for a bit of work. Wrapped up by Bella. 12 metres short of halfway. Peter Brown back inside. Couldn't offload to Tawara Degau. Dean Lonergan as they go down the blind. Quick hands. Good double round with Dwayne Mann. 3 metres short of halfway. Todd. Oh, quick hands out to Lonergan. Couldn't quite hold on to it though. Wasn't the best of passes. There's Brent Todd.
He doesn't often pass the ball. Brent Todd normally plays for the Canberra club. Teammates with Laurie Daly, Mel Meninga and Gary Belcher.
Well, that move was on the blind side. Now the Kiwis regroup, win the scrum, and now it's Williams straight up the middle. Nickau throws the dummy, Tower and Nickau. Bella's there, as well as Roberts. David Watson got away from Kieran Walters. Oh, he's a nuggety little player, isn't he?
He's a real threat, David Watson, every time he's run with the ball so far, especially against those big guys too.
Well, there's Todd offloading to Lonergan again. They've been doing that quite a bit, or trying to do it. Freeman, the grubber quick through, came off an Australian into touch. Freeman and Walters, a bit of an altercation in that play.
There's no shortage of feeling between the two teams here. Kieran Walters and Gary Freeman have plenty to say to each other there.
Freeman puts it in, takes it out. Shelford, they're lined up, the Kiwi backs. Here's Kelly Shelford. He got away from Malmaninga. He's got David Watson back inside to Sam Panama. The cover defence was too good, but the Kiwis charging on has been touched by Australia. That should be back to one. Shelford, right man, quick hands. Nickau out to Todd. That was forward, but the referee says play on again. That's back to one. Peter Brown cleans up. The big block. Peter Brown taking them on. Where's the support? Couldn't get the pass away. 5 metres out. Freeman. Dean Lonergan popped it up for Steve Roach, however. So Australia come away with it.
Oh, that was a terrible shame we couldn't turn that advantage into points. It was a close thing for the Kiwi side. I think that they're trying to do just a little bit too much with the ball there, Greg. It's still only early in the game. They should just maintain field position and do simple plays.
Well, I think the Kiwis have got to take it to the Australians. They're the underdogs. Australia lead 6-0.
This Australian side is starting to look a little bit rattled. You notice then they strung together about 4 or 5 passes. They don't normally do that. They usually kick early in their own 22.
Well, Ridge has been forced back to pick it up 10 metres out from his own line. Plenty of open spaces for him. Throws it back inside to Morvan Edwards. He got away from one. Got to take the tackle, though.
He seems to stand for an eternity there, looking for runners just as well.
Parnapa runs into Bella and his manly teammate, Roberts. Nickau, props. Nickau, good ball. Oh, trying to get it away to Lonergan. That's gone forward. Looked for a moment that he could get it away in plenty of time. Didn't come off, though.
Been a couple of over-anxious moments for the New Zealand side. It's surprising really that they're getting so much football. I think that if they can keep their composure for a little while and try to do something more with the ball later on in the match.
Laurie Daly's going to have a run on his own. Won't get away from Shelford and also the skipper, McGann.
Very important that these Australian players go down on the ground. The biggest threat to any defensive side are fast play the ball. So it's important that the player being tackled hits the deck.
Roberts. The blind side, Bella. Sheridan shows the ball. Runs away from the support. Takes the tackle. Bella. Penalty to Australia. No, it's a penalty to New Zealand.
Bit of back chat there from Paul Surin. He was involved with a little bit of an altercation with Darryl Williams. Darryl Williams did well to milk that penalty for New Zealand. That's very good. Robin Whitfield stamping his authority. Here's Paul Surin. He's a former American football player. Plays for the Balmain club.
So New Zealand back into the Australian half again. There's Brent Todd, runs straight into Sheridan.
Paul Surin fired up after conceding that penalty. Put a big hit on Brent Todd.
Peter Brown. Here's a penalty to New Zealand. No, this time he's telling the New Zealanders to keep their mouths shut. Paul Sheridan applauds that one, so now the penalty goes to Australia.
Robin Whitfield's penalised Brent Todd for exactly the same thing that he penalised Paul Sheridan for. I hope this match is not going to turn into one which is going to be dominated by the referee. It's an international match. It's a game of rugby league played between a couple of physical forward packs, and there's always going to be some physical exchanges.
New Zealand leading the penalty count 6-2. Sir Richard Hadley The Wallabies say that he gave them the motivation to beat the All Blacks yesterday. I wonder if we can have a chat to the Kiwis at half-time today.
I heard he signed for Manly yesterday. Did you hear that?
Well, the Aussies on the charge now with Blocker Roach. 25 metres out, they lead 6-0. There's Bob Lindner, got under a high one from his opposite number, McGann. McMahon and Nickow are there. Langer wants it down the blind side out to McGaw. Did well to hold on to that one in the slippery conditions, but the Aussies not going anywhere at the moment. Still 25 metres out. Hancock in from the wing. Beat 2. Lonergan's there around the legs.
Michael Hancock's first run of the game. Good tackle from Dean Lonergan.
Fifth tackle. They got to spin it. Daly, there's one over the top. That looked to be forward. And went right over the top, over the goal line, the touch line as well.
Turn over to New Zealand.
Yes, that was his sixth tackle, so Lonergan takes it away. Bumps off Meninga. That falls over. Australia leading 6-0.
New Zealand should look to kick early here, not play too long down this end of the field.
McGann. Driven back by Sirenen and Langer, the try scorer for Australia. Watson from dummy half. Gets a good ball out to Morvan Edwards. He's not going to have any room. He has to cut back inside. The ball's going to stay in touch for Belcher to pick it up. Won't get away from Freeman.
Michael Hancock is a very dangerous runner when he goes from dummy half. This time he opted to pass the ball.
Lindner out to Meninga. Pushed off Williams. Gets it out to Shearer. He's going to take on Panapa.
Sam Panapa did very well there to pick up Dale Shearer.
Roberts throws it back to nobody. It's been picked up by Brett Todd. New Zealand ball. Todd read that one pretty well.
I think he might have called for it, actually, Greg.
Well, there's a ball from Brown out to Mann. A turnover. The Aussies have it now through Bella. Possession is the key. I agree the Kiwis have to take it to the Australians, but at times they should be using better judgment with their passes. Roach straight up the middle.
You notice, Greg, that the Australians have only spread the ball a couple of times in this match as compared to the Kiwis who have spread it quite a few times.
Well, play on, says the referee. There's a charge on here. Sam Panapa is there and cleans up just in time.
The Australians are playing very simple football, very patterned football. They're using their big blokes one off to play the ball, and they're going forward and they're kicking early. They're trying to dominate field position and get back-to-back sets of 6, and this is another example there. Most of the time, you notice, here's a little short kick coming there through from the Australian. The New Zealand player back and cover Sam Panapa, forced to go onto the ground, and the momentum takes them over the line, which means that the Australian get another crack at the New Zealanders in their 22.
28-year-old Aucklander Sam Panapa, his sixth test today. And Darryl Williams with the goalmouth dropout. Daly. Scott Meninga, his Canberra teammate outside, but couldn't get it away. That was a good tackle from Kelly Shelford, making the most of his recall to the Kiwi side.
Dale Shearer there playing on the wing, took that first ball up. He said earlier in the week that he doesn't like playing on the wing, but he's just happy to be in the Australian side.
Okay, this is Bella.
Martin Bella, one of the best yardage players that's playing in the Winfield Cup at the moment. He's a no-frills type player, takes the ball up once every set of 6 and doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Well, there's a mistake there by the Aussies. McGaw's put it down. Williams has put it down as well, so we'll play the knock on. Well, that's the Wallaby skipper, Nick Farr-Jones. He obviously had a big night celebrating the Wallabies win over the All Blacks yesterday.
I'm surprised he's out of bed at this time.
Freeman puts it in and takes it out. There's Shelford. Williams, Ridge on the charge up from fullback, won't get away from McGaw. McGann throws a dummy, but it was read pretty well by Lindner. Straight across field goes Panapa, straightens up and runs into Bella and Roberts. Midway, halfway, and the quarter line. New Zealand territory. Freeman. The Kiwis obviously fancy themselves out on the back line because they're certainly using the backs quite a bit. Oh, big tackle there from Mel Meninga on Morgan Edwards, driven back 3 or 4 metres. Good pick up from Kelly Shelford. Nowhere to go, and that's the 5th tackle. The clearing kick there from Ridge. Hancock picks it up on halfway. Won't get away from Watson. Shelford over the top.
It was a good second tackle by Kelly Shelford coming over the top to stop him getting the ball away.
Belcher. Let's look at the top tacklers and the forwards. Dwayne Mann leading the charge for the Kiwis, and Roberts, look at that, 21 from Roberts in the Australian forward pack. He's had a big effort put in a big effort on defence.
Ian Roberts, he's no stranger to topping tackle counts. He regularly does it for the Manly club. I noticed that Steve Roach was in there with a contribution of 12 tackles. That's pretty good considering he hasn't played for a few weeks.
Well, Linda got away from 1, almost got away from 2, but Todd was underneath there. There's the backs. Freeman, look at the little halfback. 16 tackles so far in the match. And the Kiwi backs have certainly had more to tackle than the Aussie backs so far in this match.
Yeah, I hope doing all those tackles, Gary Freeman, Greg, I hope it doesn't take the edge off him in attack. He's a tremendous footballer on attack, and I doubt really whether he's been picked in the team as a defender. I think some of those other players on the edge of the ruck need to do more work in defence to compensate.
Well, the Kiwis parked inside their own half again. Todd, head down, charges into them.
This is good football for these conditions from the Kiwi side. Just simple, one off the ruck football. They've got poor field position. They should set themselves for a kick.
Nick out. Roberts in there, ball and all again. Dwayne Mann kicked it straight into an Australian. It's still lying loose on the ground. What's going to happen here? He's got to call a knock on in there. Interesting to see who he gives a feed to.
Well, he made a meal of that. That
Australia.
was only an ordinary effort. You know, I think there were players in better field positions to be able to put a kick down than Dwayne Mann under pressure from dummy half.
4 each in the scrum count. Make it 5-4 to Australia. They've won that one, and here's Daly. No support there for him. But he still gets it away to Mel Meninga. That was good work. The big man across field links up with his Canberra teammate Gary Belcher. Over the top it goes to Dale Shearer. That was good work by the Australians. They made plenty out of nothing.
It was a very good effort in defence from Matthew Rich to get across there.
Well, they're on the charge still. Kieran Walters has it. One over the top to Bella. Back to Blocker. Roach, the big man. Couldn't get the hands free to the support out wide. Daly's calling it for it on the left. But they go right. There's the big one. They've got men over out here. Dale Shearer. Todd couldn't contain him. Back inside it goes down to Mark McGaw. There's the second try for Australia. Good try to the Cronulla centre three-quarter, Mark McGaw.
Almost a try that you'd see in a game of touch football there, with a long over-the-head pass there from the Australian side. Mark McGaw's been in great form this year in Winfield Cup. You see him here in the last part of the action, coming across to get better position for the kicker, sliding over for a good try. Mark McGaw there from the Cronulla club. You see here Alan Langer with a long ball over the top, deflected off Mark McGaw to Mel Meninga. He takes out the last. See this little step inside here from Dale Shearer. That's very good play from a good footballer. Puts the ball out the back door to Mark McGaw, backing up, and then he cruises in for another good try to the Australian side. Mark McGaw playing for the Cronulla club and played well in the State of Origin series this year.
Yes, indeed. 26 years of age. Only his third test. Had his debut in the 1988 World Cup final. Australia beating New Zealand on that occasion. Now it's Mel Meninga. 150 points in Test match football for the big 30-year-old from Canberra. Plenty of concentration. He liked to look at that one. Why shouldn't he? It's straight between the uprights, so the Aussies now out to a 12-0 advantage.
I think the New Zealanders, Greg, are putting a lot of pressure on themselves by trying to play too much of the game in their own 22. In the last couple of sets of 6 that they've had, the ball's gone from sideline to sideline, and they've made very little progress going forward. It probably would have been better to take a leaf out of the Australian books, play a little bit closer to the ruck in their own 22, kick early and get good field position. That try by the Australians that they've just scored now, you can put down to the fact that they had good field position. Had they have done that further down the field, they probably would have got picked up by the Kiwi cover defence.
Well, from the restart, Shearer's going to turn them around again.
See, that's an indication there again, Greg, that Australians just absolutely won't play in their own 22.
Morgan Edwards, wrapped up by Langer. Now, there's a penalty coming up. Australia inside the 5 metres. So New Zealand, they've really got to dig deep for courage now to come back. The Aussies have the wind advantage.
Even though they're 12 points down, it's very important that the Kiwis don't try and play catch-up football. They should just put their heads down and be prepared to go to work and guts it out for the remainder of the game.
Nick Gow out to Dean Lonergan, head down, straight up the middle goes the second rower.
That's good play from Dean Lonergan. He's been in outstanding form recently.
Todd, almost to the quarter line. The Kiwis moving into a scoring position. Brown tackled by Lindner.
Kiwis will switch the ball back the opposite way now. Here it is.
Double round now with Freeman. Out to Darryl Williams. Can't get his hands free. So they lost ground in that movement. Nick out. Oh, out to Dean Lonergan. But the ball is rebounded favourably. Out to Sam Potiphar. He's wrapped up. Good cover defence again by the Australians over on the far side. Now, the fifth tackle, the kick across field, but it goes straight into the arms of Bob Lindner. And there's a line-up out here. Danger for the New Zealand as it goes to Michael Hancock. He's only got Matthew Ridge to beat, but a good tackle from Ridge.
Oh, that's tremendous work from Matthew Ridge. He's having an outstanding game.
But the Aussies on a roll now. There's the kick through. There's only Gary Freeman home. Shearer, the fastest man in the Australian team, racing through, but it's going to go dead. Back to the quarter line. So 1 minute the New Zealanders are on attack. The next minute the Aussies apply the pressure at the opposite end of the ground. They're a class side, this Australian side. Gary Freeman.
For any of the skeptics, rugby union watching this, if you have a look at Matthew Ridge, that's a tremendous effort, tackling Michael Hancock, who's one of the best wingers in Australia. Geez, he's had a great impact since he switched to rugby league, Matthew Ridge. His form for the Kiwis and for Manly has been absolutely sensational.
There's Ridge there.
He's made some very big tackles for the New Zealand side, and he's been back in position all the time to return the kicks of the football. He's playing very well.
So play goes on. Gary Freeman took a long time to get that ball back to the quarter line after being forced to clean up at the back for the Kiwis. Now it's Peter Brown. Straight up into Roberts. 10 metres from halfway. Freeman. Ridge. Gets away from a couple. Crossfield he goes, but he runs straight into Sheridan. Paul Sheridan read that one pretty well.
Oh, yeah, that was a big hit. He spotted him coming across early in the piece and then picked him up. Australia using the umbrella defence.
So Freeman, knock on by Shearer.
Oh, that's good for New Zealand coming up to half-time. Dale Shearer's made a couple of uncharacteristic errors in this game. It'd be good if we could turn this error into points for New Zealand.
So Kelly Shelford takes on Belcher. Doesn't succeed with it though. Now it's McGann. Here McGann. Oh, there was a high one there from McGaw. No, the referee says it was around the chest. A legal tackle according to the referee. Todd. Lonergan. Watson. Turns around, comes back in field. David Watson. Still going, but he's not making too many metres. McGaw tackles him. Can the Kiwis put some points on the board before half-time? They're down 12 points to 0. There's Nick out. The quarter line. Good run by the second rower. Well, that's half-time. Australia have scored 2 tries to none in the first half. The first to Alan Langer, converted by Meninga. The second try to Mark McGaw, converted by the Aussie skipper, number 3, Mel Meninga. So at half-time at Athletic Park, it's Australia 12 leading New Zealand 0.
Back live at Athletic Park for the Lion Red International League test between the Kiwis and the Kangaroos. It's 12-0 at half-time. About a 10-minute half-time break, so they'll be back on the field in about 7 minutes' time. 12-0 at half-time. Let's check the highlights of the first half.
Meninga, the Aussie backs, throw it around. Belcher in the clear. danger for New Zealand. Belcher back inside to Alan Langer, and it's a try. Beautiful stuff by Australia. Daly showing the ball. Gets it out to Belcher. Here's another chance for the Aussies. Gary Belcher got away from one. Oh, this classy fullback from Canberra, almost through. Only 5 metres out. Now it's Bob Linder. Bob Linder getting close to the line. Tossing and turning. Can't get it down. Freeman puts it in. Takes it out. Shelford. They're lined up. The Kiwi backs. Here's Kelly Shelford. He got away from Malmaninga. He's got David Watson. Back inside to Sam Panama. The cover fence was too good. But the Kiwis charging on. It's been touched by Australia. That should be back to one. Shelford. Wayne Van. Quick hands. Nick Howe after Todd. That was forward. But the referee says play on again. That's back to one. Peter Brown cleans up. The big prop. Peter Brown taking them on. Where's the support? Couldn't get the pass away. 5 metres out. Freeman. Dean Lonergan. Popped it up for Steve Roach, however. So Australia come away with it. There's the big one. They've got men over out here. Dale Shearer. Todd couldn't contain him. Back inside it goes down to Mark McGaw. There's the second try for Australia. Good try to the Cronulla centre three-quarter, Mark McGaw.
12-0 at half-time then. Howie Tamati, what's the Kiwi game plan for the second half?
Well, obviously to use the conditions, kick the ball, put the ball down there into the field, and then wait for the mistakes to be made. I'm very, very happy with this score. 12-0 is not a good score for Australia playing into these conditions.
Given your experience of conditions of rugby league in Wellington when it's like this, 12 points not enough, you think?
Not with this weather, no, not with the wind blowing like it is. I was very happy with the way the Kiwi was playing when they were playing the short ball game. They were playing that very well. I think we should look at the, maybe hitting them down the blind side. Hitting them down the blind side and keeping the ball down there into the field. That's the key to this game, I think.
Okay, Howie Tamati with his thoughts on how the second half will go. Let's have a look at the vital statistics for the first half.
First up, the metres gained, and Australia leading in that department. They've dominated with the wind behind their backs. And the time in the opposition half, well, Australia just nudging ahead of the New Zealanders. They've had 22 minutes in the Australian half and have failed to put points on the board. Time and possession, well, the Kiwis have had more ball in the first half, running into this stiff southerly breeze at Athletic Park. Let's hope they can keep it up in the second half.
Well, we'll find out if that is a southerly zephyr that is worth 12 points or not when the Kiwis come out for the second half. The brave and hardy souls from Wellington who've come to see the second doubleheader, the Lion Red Rugby League International Test between the Kiwis and the Kangaroos. Back in a moment. We're about to have the second half of this Lion Red International League Test between the Kiwis and the Kangaroos. Wellington's turned out pretty much in force for this test, considering the weather conditions today. A surprisingly large crowd, especially when you consider the sort of crowds that the Kiwis drew to the Great Britain side. The tourists are out here for a 3-test series. There'd be more people here today, I think, than came to the entire Great Britain Kiwis test series. Certainly the doubleheader weekend, a great success. Certainly something to be looked forward to in the years to come, I think. Let's go back now to our commentators, Greg Clark and Ken Laban.
Jeff, it's a real pleasure to see Wellingtonians turn up for this match in adverse weather conditions. And believe it or not, history shows that the first game of rugby league in New Zealand was actually played here at Athletic Park in Wellington. The year was 1908. Now, in those days, the game was known as Northern Union. Remember, the Northern Rugby Union clubs in England broke away and formed the 13-man game, so it was called Northern Union in those days. And the first match in New Zealand in 1908 at Athletic Park was a charity match for Arthur Baskerville's family. Arthur Baskerville died while on New Zealand's first rugby league tour overseas in 1907-1908. He was the man that really started rugby league in New Zealand. So plenty of rugby league tradition here at the home of Wellington Rugby, Athletic Park. And this is the 5th test match to be played in Wellington, the first rugby league test to be played at Athletic Park. Well, Ken Laban, we spoke about it in the first half, the fact that the Aussies had the win behind their backs. Howie Tamati didn't think that 12 points was a good score for the Aussies. Can the Kiwis come back with that win?
Well, the physical factor will be very important in the second half as well. One thing that we did pick up in the first half was the fact that the Australians only played simple football. Their major weapon in the team really is their strike power in the forward pack, and that's really what they've been doing. for most sets of 6. They haven't played much in their own 22. They've just played close to the ruck, dummy half runs in their own 22, and they've kicked early in the tackle count. When they've managed to get good field position, again, they've just played simple football. On the other side of the coin, the New Zealand side have done a lot with the football so far. The ball's gone from sideline to sideline, so I think that perhaps the wind advantage might be nullified by the fact that the Australians physically, I think, will be in better state.
Kiwis coming out now to resume the second half. Morgan Edwards, Wellington lad, Dwayne Mann, Matthew Ridge. Here's David Watson.
He's had a big first half, David Watson. Very impressive, hasn't he, Greg?
Hugh McGann leads the Kiwis out for the second half. This is an official New Zealand 1990 event. Ken, both sides are allowed 4 replacements as we see the Aussies come out in a change of strip. They have fresh jerseys and they probably will be rather fresh in the second half because they played pretty well straight up and down rugby league in the first half. 4 replacements each side. Do you think we'll see all of them come on?
Well, Bob Fulton's a very astute coach, as is New Zealand coach Bob Bailey, and I think that they've got 4 players which they can use to their advantage. I think it's just a matter of the timing that they put them on. I think will be vital to the impact that they're going to have out there. There's big Paul Cernan, we said earlier, former American football player. He's made a couple of big hits in the game so far. Little Alan Langer, he started very well in this game when you consider that some people had said that his form had been very indifferent this year for both the Broncos and for Queensland in the State of Origin series.
Mel Meninga leading his side today. Well, the rain has stopped falling. Still very overcast here in Wellington. The referee in the middle is Robin Whitfield from England. He was a special guest of honour at a function in Wellington last night. 11 of the living test referees from New Zealand had a reunion last night. Well, in fact, 11 were invited. 2 couldn't make it, John Percival and Earl Pilcher. But 9 former or current test referees from New Zealand turned up at the function last night. Gee, they had some stories to tell, I can tell you.
From our
okay, we're underway.
From our position up here, Greg, in the commentary position, you'll notice that the wind has died away. So I don't think it's really going to be an advantage to either side.
Right, let's see what the Kiwis can do. They're down by 12-0.
Kiwis should look for Gary Freeman to kick the ball downtown now. Or Matthew Ridge.
Ridge couldn't get the kick away then.
Good chasing by the Australian side. They'll have to kick now. It's the last tackle. Kelly Shelford in position.
They got onto him pretty quickly, so he had to put it up in the air and doesn't gain a great deal of distance, or
it was surprising.
Certainly would have liked more distance than that.
Greg, that was surprising to see Michael Hancock let the ball bounce then. And normally you'd expect international footballers of this class to be able to catch the ball on the full.
Roberts had a big first half on defence.
He did. He
had some good ball distribution as well.
He managed to get his arm free a few times.
Mistake by Roberts there, though, the knock on and the play the ball. So it'll be a New Zealand feed. They need possession. They need points on the board. High ball in the scrums. Okay, Shelford. Missed out. Williams got it out to David Watson. Daly read it pretty well. Both sides intact. The starting 13 still on the field on both sides. Now it's Nick out. Roberts has him. Brent Todd down the blind. Lonigan can't get away from Meninga. Rubber kick from Gary Freeman. Into touch. It'll be Australian feed into the scrum. Let's go to the sideline. Here's Jeff Bryan.
Brian, how have you been into the dressing rooms to find out what was said first, the Kiwi dressing room?
Well, the obvious one, use the conditions, put the ball down there into the field. When we're putting the kicks in, they've got to go along the floor, to bobble around, not end on end. So it makes it very, very difficult for the Australians to pick the ball up.
And the Australian dressing room?
Concentrate. They are very worried. They know they've got a long way to go. The scoreline is not as good as they wanted it to be, and they've got to make sure that when they put the ball down there into the field, the kick chase game is very, very good.
Well, the rain is bucketing down at the moment as the Aussies throw it wide. Hancock's over there unmarked, puts the boot to it. Michael Hancock, but it's going to get caught up in the breeze and it's out on the full.
Well, Michael Hancock won't be very happy with that. There was some very good passing in the ball. It's a shame they couldn't finish it off.
Well, there's Wally Lewis at the back of the stand, still out with injury. Wally might be thinking it's probably a good test match to miss with these Wellington conditions today, but the Kiwis have it. Shelford puts a head down, makes it to the halfway line.
Yeah, knowing the type of bloke that Wally is, he'll be laughing at this rain. It's coming down in buckets now.
Quick hands, Nick Howe. Held up. The blind side, Freeman. The kick through, but Belcher's back there. No pressure on him at the moment. Tackled on the 22-metre line. Australian end of the ground.
The second half has started very quietly for both sides. Very tentative start. Both teams just doing simple things. Only really the one error. You know, I think that the next team to score could be a crucial one.
Oh, Roberts does well to get it away again. That was touched by Dwayne Beam, but the referee didn't signal back to one. As Sirenen takes it up, he's lost it. Ridge cleans up, so New Zealand have it. David Watson wants it down the blind.
David Watson's really proved to be a handful for the Australian defence in this match.
Nick Howe. No way through there. Centre of the field. Freeman wants it. There's a bit of a gap opening up for Freeman. The halfback will play it. 15 metres inside Australian territory. Now Brent Todd.
Shame Gary Freeman in that last run didn't have some extra runners out wide.
Kelly Shelford. The bomb. McGann's racing through. It's lying loose in the ground. Panapa, yes! It's a try to New Zealand. They needed that one. Auckland to Sam Panapa. There's Bob Bailey. The Kiwi skipper is happy. The crowd is happy. New Zealand are back in this test match.
Well, New Zealand couldn't have hoped for a better start to the second half. They were down 12 points to 0 in the second half. It started tentatively. Put this try down to a bit of confusion between Mel Meninga and Gary Belcher. Mel Meninga thought Belcher was going to take it. Panapa came in and he was the burglar. Comes in with a good try. Look at the high bomb from Kelly Shelford there. The New Zealand team swarming in. Mel Meninga there thinks that Gary Belcher's going to take it. Gary Belcher leaves it, lets it bounce. You see Sam Panapa chasing up there like all good wingers should do. Secures the ball and goes over for a very good try. Sam Panapa.
28-year-old Sam Panapa. He's from Auckland. Will be playing in the British competition in the Northern Winter. It's his 6th test today, and that's his 4th try in 6 test matches. So Panapa certainly making the most of his stint as a Kiwi winger this year. Matthew Ridge, 28 points in test matches, 14 goals from 18 attempts. Can he make it 15 out of 19?
Matthew Ridge is probably the only player from both sides that's played previously at Athletic Park, so he probably knows these conditions well. And when you consider he's been kicking sensationally, that should help him.
Swinging it around, no! Out to the right.
This New Zealand side are going to ram home the advantage. What they need to do now is get the ball right back down to the Australian territory. The Australian sides will be a little bit rattled.
Sam Panapa's try not converted by Matthew Ridge, and it's Australia leading by 12-4. But we've got a test match on our hands now. Will this man ever play rugby league? He's not looking too happy at the moment. He'd like another Kiwi try.
Well, he said after he did that documentary with Matthew Ridge that he thought he'd never play rugby league ever after seeing the training routines.
Well, here's Ridge running it out from his own try line. Now the Kiwis must consolidate now. Nothing silly inside their own quarter. Dwayne Mann takes it away. Tawera Nikau. Hit hard by Roberts and Bella. Brent Todd up to the quarter line.
That's good football there. We should be looking for Matthew Ridge now.
There's the kick from Ridge. Shearer takes it on the first bounce. Good chasing by David Watson.
Very good kick chase game from the New Zealand side there. David Watson and Darryl Williams both centres up there. That's very good. Good defence by the New Zealand side. That try has given them a little bit of heart. Now they're playing the game with a lot of enthusiasm.
Plenty of enthusiasm from the Kiwi contingent in the crowd as well as Bella will play it 5 metres from halfway. Roach, one over the top. Panapa has it, but he's been driven into touch though. Another one of the boys who played in the rugby yesterday, David Campese. He's had plenty of rugby league offers. Daly, Belcher, good one out to McGaw, who took it pretty well.
Very impressed with the defensive effort from David Watson today. He did very well to pick up the Australian player there.
Good metres gained there from Bob Lindner. Now this is Bella. 10 metres inside New Zealand territory.
Martin Bella, he really has been the workhorse of the Australian pack so far today. He's played tremendously well, taking the first ball up off the ruck.
Well, that's a good ball from Laurie Daly out to Belcher. Handed it over to Meninga. Got away from one, but he slips over. Brilliant work by Daly. Looked to be covered, but then still managed to put Belcher into a gap. Kerrod Walters. We've had 9 minutes of play in the second half. Daly. There goes the bomb. Will the bounce favour the Aussies this time? Again. But a penalty to New Zealand.
Well, the rule book says that you've got to stay outside the 5-metre circle if you're offside. The Australian players were all in front of Laurie Daly when he put the kick up there. They came straight in on Hugh McGann, which was probably a little bit fortunate for the New Zealand side. You see here Paul Surinam, Steve Roach, they're offside.
10 minutes of play gone in the second half as Brent Todd takes it into Australian territory by 1 metre. 12-4 to Australia. Brown. And another solid game for the Kiwis. He's had a big year in Test football, Brown. McGann. The crowd thought there was something illegal about that tackle, but it was fair. Around the chest. There's a kick over the top by Freeman. So the Kiwis getting their kicking game into gear. Belcher's left it behind. No, he just manages to hang on to it.
That was a very well placed kick.
Stuff.
Jeffrey Palmer looks like he's enjoying this. That was a good placed kick by Gary Freeman. Australians having something to say, thinking there was a bit of illegality in the tackle. I think they're just trying to slow down the play of the ball so to stop the Kiwi momentum. See the little kick here from Gary Freeman. Gary Belcher just fumbles it a little bit. David Watson in with a good hit over the top. That was fair, nothing in that.
Now it's Surinam. Oh, there's plenty of Kiwi defenders in there.
Getting plenty of support from the crowd as well. That was a good defensive effort from the Kiwis.
The Kiwis sense that they're not out of this match yet.
Oh, they look like a headbutt there from Kerrod Walters on Hugh McGann.
That's the 5th tackle. Daly. Straight down the throat of Matthew Ridge. He takes it pretty well. Good chasing by the Kangaroos, though. And Ridge will be thrown into the turf by Meninga. Parnapa. Out to Shelford. Gets it out to Edwards. He's left it behind. Here's a chance for Australia. There's Hancock over on the far side. The cover is over there. Oh, that looked dangerous for a moment. But these muddy conditions in Wellington slowing some of the fast outside Australian backs.
Yeah, the weather's been so unpredictable. Sometimes the rain stays away, then it comes down in buckets. I think it was a little bit unlucky for the New Zealand side there. They opted to move the ball wide, and just before that it started to rain.
Roberts. Here's Bella to the quarter line. Now they've got a line-up. Daly gets it back to Roach. One over the top to Lindner. He keeps it alive, throws it out to Langer. Roberts. 5th tackle. Go the Kiwi defence hold for another tackle. Down the blind they go. Langer. There's the kick through. Parnapa has put it down. Ridge. And tackled in goal by Meninga. Good chasing by the Australian skipper. A goal-mouth dropout.
Yeah, plenty of enthusiasm from the big bloke. He's 108k. He got up there fairly quick to be able to pull Matthew Ridge over the line and be able to get another set of 6 for the Australian side. Again, if the Kiwis are going to be competitive and come away with a good result, they've got to get away from this end of the field.
Darryl Williams taking plenty of time. The Manly Warringah star is in his 21st Test match. Made his debut in '85 against Great Britain. He's been very consistent in the Kiwi lineup over the past 5 years. Daly. He's doing all right for someone that was supposed to be lacking match fitness, Laurie Daly. No sign of that injury that kept him out of football for weeks. Recurring again today. Roberts does well again to get it back to Walters. One over the top to Daly. He's going to throw it back inside to block a Roach. Freeman read that pretty well.
Australians at 5 on
David
on the outside.
Now down the blind, they've got numbers out wide again. With the kick through, has been charged down, kept on the toe though by Siren, and it's a Kiwi ball. Darryl Williams, 20 metres out from halfway. New Zealand into the ground. Dean Lonergan's put it down. The ball pretty slippery there. Now it's a knock on. 15 minutes gone in the second half. Australia leading 12-4. The Kiwis must hold on to this ball. There's Andrew Eddinghausen, number 14, coming down off the bench. McGaw. Freeman over the top. Williams underneath. Darryl Williams was hurt in that tackle. He's holding his head. Linda from dummy half. The Aussies continue to apply the pressure. It's a knock on, and rightly so. Linda dropped that ball before he played it.
The only thing that the New Zealand side have got to be careful about as well in this stage of the game is just making errors in their own 22. That was a pretty elementary error there from Dean Lonergan.
Okay, as Freeman puts the ball into the scrum, he'll take it out eventually. Again, keeping it in there at loose forward. And there's a kick immediately by Ridge. Now, where are the Kiwi chasers? Nobody home for Australia. It's going to stop on the Australian try line just about.
That's the tactic that the New Zealanders have got to use. Kick the ball early and get good field position.
Good chasing by Parnapa.
And Dwayne Mann did very well to be there.
Well, there could be a bit of activity over on the sideline. Let's go to One World of Sports' Jeff Bryan.
Now it looks like there's going to be a substitution from the Australians.
Yes, go to the fullback, still hasn't recovered from their knock, so they're warming up Andrew Eddinghausen on the sideline.
What difference will that make to the Aussie game pattern?
Well, I think Andrew Eddinghausen at this point in time, fresh man, fresh pair of legs, very, very fast. I think he may have a big influence on the game when he comes on.
So there's Gary Belcher. He's been replaced by Andrew Eddinghausen from another Sutherland. So that's the first substitute in this match. Bit of a kicking game going on now. Ridge back to the replacement, Eddinghausen. He's got plenty of room to move. There were no chasers up there for the Kiwis. And E.T. had no trouble getting it back to the halfway line.
One thing the Australian teams do thrive on is enthusiasm, and that's what Andrew Eddinghausen will bring to this team now that he's come on. He plays for the Cronulla club. He's big, fast, and he's very, 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 very strong.
This is Bella. So if the Kiwis are going to kick deep, they must chase. Now it's Daly looking for support, and the gap closed. Williams and Freeman in there. Top tacklers here. Dwayne Band, the Kiwi hooker, doing most tackling in the back from Todd and Nicow. Roberts, look at that, 32 tackles from Roberts, 20 from Sheridan.
It's an incredible effort from Ian Roberts, especially for a big man to make those many tackles. That's a lot of involvement. He's done a lot with the football and attack as well.
So a scrum packing down midway between the halfway and the quarter line. New Zealand's end of the ground. Freeman takes it out to Shelford. The double round with Watson. There's Ridge into the back line, but the Aussies read that pretty well. Looking at the top tacklers in the backs, Freeman 22. He does a power of work. Watson 11, Shelford 11. McGaw, the top tackler in the backs for the Aussies with 11. 10 from Langer. 9 from Meninga. There's a kick over the top from Nicow. Play on, says a referee. The crowd thought that Nicow had been obstructed. Eddinghausen has it.
22 tackles by Gary Freeman. It's really indicative of how much courage the little bloke's got. He's the smallest guy on the field and top of the tackle count for the New Zealand backs. He's a tremendous competitor.
Here's Bella. Straight up the middle goes Bella.
These are the sort of games that players like Martin Bella and Brent Todd thrive on. Running in the mud close to the ruck.
Bob Lindner got a good ball away to McGaw.
Very strong Mark McGaw. Very strong, busting tackles out wide, stepping back on the inside.
Well, here's a good ball over the top. Michael Hancock, and it's all Michael Hancock racing away, coming around and scoring a try. That's a major blow for New Zealand. What a great effort by Australia. There's always something on with them.
One thing the Australians do thrive on, as well as enthusiasm, is fast play the balls. You'll see the ball go out wide. You'll see the ball go wide on the replay. There it is there, the ball over the top from Kieran Walters to Michael Hancock. Cruises in for a simple try under the post.
Well, Walters and Hancock, of course, play for the Brisbane Broncos club. This man's got a ton of speed, and it was bad cover from the Kiwis. They were caught napping, and Hancock was allowed to run it around close to the posts. Michael Hancock, only 20 years of age. This is his fourth test. Queensland State of Origin rep. He made his debut as a teenager against New Zealand on the tour last year. Huey McGann receiving some treatment.
I think he banged up his wrist when he made the tackle on Mark McCaw earlier in the piece that led to the try.
John Davey, the Kiwi physiotherapist, and the Kiwi doctor Wayne Morris dishing out the treatment to McGann.
Coach Bob Bailey will be worried about the simpleness of that try from the Australian side. Kieran Walters ran from dummy half. There was nobody home behind the mark area. Managed to get a ball over the top to Michael Hancock. It was a very simple try by the Australians.
And a simple conversion by Mel Meninga. So it's now 18 points to 4. The Aussies full of confidence after that one. There's the try scorer, Michael Hancock from Brisbane. Not a pretty sight, is it? Unfortunate for the big crowd that turned out today. Unfortunate for both sides too, because I think they were both hoping for a firm track. But you have to play to the conditions, and so far the Aussies are dominating.
Big charging run from Mark McGaw, returning the ball back. That's a good 20-metre gain from his own goal line from the kickoff. Big Paul Surin now charges up one off the ruck, met by the Kiwis.
21 minutes gone in the second half. It's not over yet. The Kiwis are going to have to stay on this end of the ground, and here's a chance for them. Roberts put it down.
Going to be able to cash in on this now. They've got possession of the ball and got good field position.
10 metres out. Freeman wants it. He's got runners lined up on both sides of the ruck. He's going the blind side. No way through there. Good defence by the Aussies. Dwayne Mann to play it. Peter Brown. Twist. Back to Freeman. Knocked it on.
Just trying a bit too hard there, the Kiwi side. That was an unfortunate error there. Gary Freeman reaching forward for the football. It's surprising to see the Australians that made the mistake initially.
9-8, New Zealand leading the scrums. 9-all now as the Australians take it away, and Laurie Daly met by his opposite number, Kelly Shelford, and Hugh McGann's there to drive him back. I don't think the Aussies will be keen to stay down on this end of the ground. Penalty to New Zealand right in front of the uprights. Robert Whitfield says there was a marker, so what do they do here? Take the two. There's still 18 minutes of play in the second half.
Well, you're not allowed to play the ball to yourself in rugby league if there's a marker standing directly in front of you. And that's exactly what happened there. Laurie Daly played the ball to himself. There was a New Zealand marker standing directly in front of him and concedes a penalty.
New Zealand certainly dominating the penalty count, 8-2. Interested spectator, the Governor-General, Sir Paul Reeves. The man in the background on his left is Bernie Wood, chairman of the Wellington Rugby League, and he's the man that really put together this extravaganza of rugby union and rugby league at Athletic Park. Ridge moves in straight between the uprights. So it's New Zealand now 12 points behind Australia, leading by 18 points to 6 at Athletic Park.
Just starting to get the impression that the ascendancy in this game is starting to lean more towards the Australians. In the last few minutes, they've been able to dominate possession of the ball, and apart from a brief flurry that the Kiwis have had down in the Aussie 22, most of the time the Australians have enjoyed the bulk of field position, which is very important. It'll be a telling factor at the end of the game.
Meninga restarts. McGann knocked it back. Gets it back to Ridge. He's going to kick immediately. Addinghausen. Oh, he picked that up well. Now it goes out to Shearer.
Very fast, Al Shearer.
Good tackle by Lonigan. He read that pretty well.
Yeah, good.
Lined him up.
Moved straight up and hit him good. Oh, looked like a knock on from the Australian side there. The referee's not helping us.
Roberts keeping it alive, still on the ground. Meninga picks it up. That could have been forward. Meninga kicked it into, Shelford in fact kicked it into an Aussie, and Meninga was in front of him. But now they spin it wide again, out wide. This is Magor. Hancock. The cover gets across there, but they keep it alive, the Aussies. Daly.
Australian side playing with a lot of confidence now. They're moving the ball around. Very surprising to see them give the ball so much air, particularly in their own 22. They threw a long cutout pass. Good to see Hugh McGann come in there and finish off that tackle properly.
Langer. Roberts. They need to take him ball and all. He gets it back. Roach. Steve Roach up the middle. He's got players inside all over the place, but it's been intercepted by Toa and Igau. Lucky for the Kiwis there. And now it's Morven Edwards. Won't get away from Shearer. But the Aussies are confident. They're throwing it around like a basketball at times. Now here's Brent Todd. Let's settle it down. Get down into the Australian end of the ground, Kiwis. 15 minutes to go. They've got the big line up out wide. Dean Lonigan over the top to Parnapum, and he's into touch. Meninga read that pretty well.
Notice that the Australians are using the drifting defence out wide there. Notice that Mel Meninga stayed out, didn't make the tackle until the last possible minute. Showed the New Zealand player the outside gap and then cleaned him out. That was a good hit from Mel Meninga.
That's the halfway line. Daly. Again off the back of the scrum, tackles him with Freeman. Bella. 3 tries to 1 so far for the Australians. 18 points to 6. Saranen.
I think now would be a good time for Coach Bob Bailey to be thinking about making some changes. This New Zealand side seems to have gone off the boil in the last couple of minutes.
Meninga held up. Midfield. 15 metres inside New Zealand territory. The kick through from Alan Lager. Sam Parnapum has to go back and clean up and kicks it into touch.
Australians just playing very simple football at the moment there. You notice they just did simple plays there, and then on the last they put the ball down into the corner. The deflection came off Sam Parnapum, so the scrum and feed will go with Australia. They'll probably win the scrum easily.
Linda takes it out, gets it back to Langer. Now this Kiwi defence is going to be stretched here. Another try will be the ball game. Here's a penalty to New Zealand. That's a relief. Langer penalised, not playing the ball properly. No, he wasn't standing when he played the ball. He's not happy.
I don't think he used his foot when he played the ball. I think he rolled it back between his legs. That's what the penalty's for.
So Ridge finds touch. Freeman, Shelford, good ball to Williams, storming onto it. But Lindner, the loose forward, got across in cover defence. Todd, quick hands out to Lonigan, he's put it down. So the Kiwis are in a situation where they have to play catch-up football. They have to throw it around and take their chances. It didn't come off there, but they've wanted it back, I think.
No, it stays with the Australians. Kieran Roberts will get up and play the ball.
It's a penalty again for New Zealand. The Aussies are taking a real hammering in the penalty count. But it's good news for New Zealand as they try to get downfield, and that kick finds touch from Ridge.
I think one of the Australian players that wasn't even involved in the play the ball gave the referee a little bit of look, which is what this penalty is for.
Well, there's Brent Todd charging up over the quarter line. Peter Brown. Time running out for the Kiwis. 11 minutes showing on the ground clock. Freeman. There's the kick over the top. Sam Panapa's racing through, but Eddinghausen does well to tackle it. He's not held, but he's going to be held now by Panapa.
Gosh, that was a great bit of skill from Andrew Eddinghausen then. On the run, off balance, scooping the ball up with one hand. That was tremendous bit of football from a class player. Here it is here on the replay. The kick through from Gary Freeman. Andrew Eddinghausen balancing it there on one arm, holding the ball. And if he had got up on his feet earlier here, he might have been able to clear from the in goal. That's a class bit of football.
Waiting for the goalmouth dropout. Glenn Lazarus from the Canberra Raiders club warming up. Now if he comes on, he'll be packing down against Brent Todd, his Canberra teammate, and Brent Todd will be Lazarus's best man at his wedding on September 29. Off the field, they're great mates, but there's no love lost on the field, obviously. They're playing for their country. Tara Nikau trying to find a way up the middle.
Well, that was unlucky for New Zealand there. Tara Nikau just about through with a big bust.
Peter Brown, Freeman, there's Brent Todd. It's been knocked down by an Australian. That should be a knock-on. The play on, says the referee, as Freeman gets it back for the Kiwis, and it's back to 1. Knock-on this time.
Kiwis are starting to pay the price now for the old playing catch-up football. With time running out on the clock, they've really got no alternative but to try and do something with the football. And unfortunately, when you try and be adventurous, you're always going to be a chance to make an error, and that's what's happening at the moment.
Australia have it. 10 minutes to go. Langer almost through. 18 points to 6, the Aussies lead. Playing for the Australasian Trophy, donated this year by the Prime Minister of Australia, Bob Hawke.
It was a big run by Paul Surin, and he's made a lot of good charges this afternoon.
Gerard Walters, 10 metres inside New Zealand territory. Daly, Magor, having a run on his own, Magor, but Williams wrapped him up ball and all. Shelford in there to assist as well. That's a halfway line. Eddinghausen, the replacement. 5th tackle. Daly. And Panapa picks it up. Bounced off one.
Oh, that was a good punt from Sam Panapa on little Alan Langer there. It's good to see. We need to see more of that.
Brent Todd was going to throw it, but decided to have a run on his own.
He's thrown a couple of passes today, Brent Todd.
Yes, they're using him more as a distributor, which he doesn't mind doing.
The longer this game goes on, the more difficult it's going to be for the New Zealand side.
Gary Freeman down to Dale Shearer. Freeman chasing and Shearer takes him on straight into that muddy patch in the middle of Athletic Park. Lindner. Still plenty of spring left in Lindner's legs at this late stage of the game. Both sides allowed 4 replacements under international rules. The Aussies have made 1. That's Sheridan making good meters. Penalty to New Zealand. Sheridan pushing off his Balmain teammate Gary Freeman. The referee gives New Zealand another 10 metres. Ridge finds touch on the far side.
We see here on the replay that Gary Freeman holding down Paul Surin as long as possible. Surin takes exception, gives him a little bit of a don't argue, and the penalty goes to New Zealand.
So New Zealand now, can they make a test match out of this? Todd.
I think the Australians will be thinking about making a change shortly. Glenn Lazarus is warming up on the sideline.
Peter Brown got away from a couple. This is the best chance the Kiwis have had for some time. Inside the last 10 minutes. Freeman, the kick over the top. It's into open spaces, but read pretty well by Hancock.
Did very well to catch that ball on the full there. low to the ground.
Penalty to Australia this time. New Zealand not allowing the Aussies to play the ball. The replacement coming on now. Glenn Lazarus is on. It's his first test match, the 24-year-old from the Canberra Raiders.
He's replacing big Steve Roach there.
Steve Blocker Roach.
Roach who got cited about a month ago for interfering with the referee. So he hasn't played for the last 4 or 5 weeks. He hasn't had as big an effect on this game as I thought that he would have. Maybe because of the conditions or perhaps because of his fitness.
But he's lasted about 73 or 74 minutes, so that's a lot longer than some of the critics thought.
I think it might have been good from a strategic point of view for the New Zealand side to have injected a couple of fresh forwards about 10 or 15 minutes ago.
So a couple of the Aussie replacements warming up.
You notice there that Laurie Daly, for the first time in the game, opted to place the ball to kick it out. Bit of professionalism there, bit of time wasting. The Australians would be happy just to play this game out close to the ruck and play out for time. You see they're not doing anything silly.
Well, here's Sheridan. Here's Glenn Lazarus, first touch of the ball in Test match football.
And it's a good run too.
Let's go to the sideline. Howie Tamati with Blocker Roach. We'll get there very shortly. As Blocker tries to get the mud out of his eyes.
Oh, that's a good run by Mark McGaw.
Ball out to Brad Mackay, who's on. Only his second test match.
Corbin Edwards read that very well, coming off his wing and pick up the inside man.
There's a bomb up the side of the boot from Daly, and it's gone backwards, but it's been very smartly tapped back by Meninga. And now Meninga has it pushed off one back inside to nobody. Lying loose in the ground. What's the referee going to rule here? It's a 6 tackle, so New Zealand will come away with it. Parnapa, Lazarus. So the Kiwis have got their original starting 13 on. The Australians have made 3 replacements. Lazarus is on, as well as 17. Mackay. Desi Hasler has just come on as well. Eddinghausen is on. Now I think we can take you to the sideline. Here's Howie Tamati.
Steve, welcome to New Zealand, mate. What do you think of the game today?
Oh, mate, you know, unfortunately for the fans, it's a bit wet, but it's been a good, hard struggle, as it is always against New Zealand.
One of the hardest tests you've played, mate?
Oh, mate, you know, I think they're all pretty hard. You know, this one will be up there with them. It's been a hard slog because of the weather.
All right. Well, good performance today anyway, mate. Welcome to New Zealand.
Thanks, Harry.
Okay.
Good to see you again, mate.
Good on you, mate.
Okay, Michael Hancock on the quarter line. The Aussies. Back it goes to Eddinghausen, throws it into nobody. Shearer's there. The Aussies being a little bit too playful at the moment with this ball. They sense they've got the test match wrapped up at 18 points to 6. 3 minutes to go. Roberts back inside to Karen Walters. Where's the support? Back to Meninga. The Kiwi defence really stretched here. Can they hold out the Aussies? Bella, Hasler. Throws the dummy, Desi Hasler, back inside to his Manly clubmate. Roberts, back inside to Mackay. He's in underneath the post.
That's a very good try by the Australian side. In the last couple of minutes, they've injected their fresh reserves onto the team, and they've all added a new dimension to the side, particularly in the area of enthusiasm. Young player there, Brad Mackay, made his debut against France up at Parks for the Australian side. We see Ian Roberts characteristically standing in the tackle, offloading the ball to Brad Mackay, running hard onto the short ball. Look at that. That's a good effort there. Kicks the ball in one half, and his momentum takes him over for the line for a very good try from a young player.
22 points to 4 now. The Australians in front. Brad Mackay. This is only his second test match. He scored 3 tries in his debut against France. 1 today. It's not a bad start to an international career, is it? From the St. George Club. Well, the crowd's starting to leave now. Just a couple of minutes remaining on the clock.
He's a versatile player too, Brad Mackay. Played half-back, lock, centre, and 5'8" for the St George club. Also made his debut this year in the State of Origin series with New South Wales.
100% record from Meninga with his kicking today. 3 from 3. Make that 4 from 4. 24 points to 6 it is now.
Been a very disciplined effort from the Australian side. We said earlier in the game prior to the start of the match that they would make use of their big forward pack, and they certainly have done that today. You know, the players out wide certainly haven't featured as much in the game as the likes of Bella, Roach, Paul Surinan, and Ian Roberts in particular, who's been outstanding for the Australian side. Hitting the line, taking the ball one up off the ruck, offloading the ball, keeping his arms free, and players running around. He's played very, very well. Very clinical effort from the Australians.
Yeah, it's a very classy outfit, and gee, on this performance today, they're going to be very tough opponents for Great Britain on the tour to Britain and France in the Northern Winter.
It was a good run from Brad Mackay to try and score there. Carted the ball up about 20 metres. I think the enthusiasm's dropped off a little bit from this Kiwi side, not chasing with as much intensity.
Well, this Kiwi team, they've said all year that they're a team for the future. They were in it at certain parts of this match, but in the second half they've had to play the catch-up football, and it's taken its toll as the Aussies spin it wide again out to Hancock. He scored one try, gets to Matthew Ridge, one over the top. Back inside it goes, picked up by Hancock, but that was a knock-on in there.
Australians now starting to enjoy themselves a little bit, obviously, with only a couple of minutes to go. Leading 24 points to 6, they can afford to chance their run, which is exactly what they're doing now.
So Freeman puts it in, takes it out. Shelford. Kiwis looking for a consolation try. There's the kick from Williams. Shearer's back there. He's the fastest man in the Australian team. Plenty of time to get back. And plenty of time to get his pass away to Kerrod Walters. Back inside to his Brisbane Bronco teammate Shearer. Tackled by a man over there. Kiwi forwards at 6s and 7s. So Shearer's going to take plenty of time. They'll be glad to get into the hot showers underneath the stand at Athletic Park. Still a couple of minutes left on the ground clock though. 24 points to 6. Daly, critics said he wouldn't last the whole game. He looks like he's going to do it. There's Addinghausen. And there's the full-time siren at Athletic Park. So this official New Zealand 1990 event comes to a close. Gary Freeman there with his teammate Paul Surinan. But full credit to the world champion Australians. They scored 4 tries to 1. Langer, McGaw, Hancock and Mackay. Meninga 4 from 4. Panapa, the sole try scorer for New Zealand. 1 penalty goal to Matthew Ridge. The Aussies will certainly celebrate. There's George Mann, who didn't get a run. So the final score, 24 points to 6 after the Aussies led by 12-0 at half-time. Let's go to under the stand and One World of Sports, Jeff Bryan.
Hugh McGann, as tough a test as you expected?
Oh, tougher. The conditions certainly told in the end. We just couldn't handle them just the same way as the Australians did.
You came out fired up after the half-time break. What was said?
Well, we needed to contain them and probably put a lot more pressure on in the first 10 minutes, which we did, and come up with the try early on, but weren't able to sustain it. We go back to the first test against Great Britain, and we had the wind for us, going for us in the second half, and didn't use the wind to our advantage as we did again today. We certainly fell away from our game plan, which we'd trained all week for the last 6 weeks actually, and we tried to play them from our own half. We should have been playing them down there. Our kicking game certainly fell apart.
How badly did the conditions affect your game plan that you've been working on all that time?
Well, our game plan through the whole series or through the year has been to throw the ball around and make it a good spectacle. And today with the muddy conditions, wasn't conducive to that type of football. And if the penalty was paid, we lost control of the ball. We just dropped it in our own half and obviously paid the penalty for it.
How tough did those who went to Papua New Guinea find it to make the switch between the heat and the humidity and the dry grounds up there to this?
It was certainly hard. We found out early in the week just how hard the conditions were to get used to again. But they showed in the first test in New Guinea that they can play that we can play in muddy conditions, but weren't able to sustain the size and strength of the Australian pack.
Any individuals you want to single out for a commendation today?
As far as New Zealand was concerned, I thought Taua Nikau again showed his dominance and has got a bright future in the game as he's shown through this whole series. He's certainly a player for the future for New Zealand. And of course Brent Todd and Peter Brown did the work front up for us, and obviously as it showed in that first half, Matthew Ridge is a guy who's really come on and showed his capabilities from rugby union to rugby league, and again will be a great asset for us.
Hugh McGann, thank you very much for your time. Good luck at East. Okay. And that's it from...
Okay. Disappointed Hugh McGann. There's Mal Meninga, though, with the Australasian Cup presented to him by the Prime Minister, Geoffrey Palmer. That was donated by the Australian Prime Minister, Bob Hawke, this year. Australia's contribution as far as the sporting thing goes for the Sesqui.
When you consider the setbacks that Mal Meninga's had over the last couple of years, he'll take tremendous heart from today's victory. A couple of broken arms in the last 2 seasons. The season was just about shattered for him. But to come back and lead Australia to victory is tremendous.
Just in conclusion, Ken, Hugh McGann had plenty of praise for some of the Kiwis. What about your man of the match on either side?
Well, I thought Martin Bella was sensational for the Aussies. He didn't do a lot of the flashy stuff, but he worked very hard around the ruck. And for New Zealand, again, I was very, very impressed with Matthew Ridge. I thought he was tremendous.
David Longy, he'll be disappointed with the Kiwi effort. Sir Paul Reeves there. Let's go back to the sideline and Jeff Bryan.
So the Kangaroos winning the day on a day that wasn't exactly conducive to good league. In fact, it wasn't exactly conducive to good anything very much. Winning easily in the end. We'll take a short break now.